So we're doing a presentation on artificial intelligence and how it can be incorporated into your classroom.
Well, that's me. I'm Dr. McGrody, a middle school teacher at Northwest Middle in Salt Lake City, Utah. Been there now 4 years. I teach coding, robotics, and music.
This is me. I'm the one elementary person in the group. So here I am. I'm the bubbly little whateverness. I'm the one who made all the colorful, crazy slides that they're all like going, oh my gosh. Anyway, my name is Heather Sappington. I teach third grade. I'm right in the middle of Missouri, in a rural area. I've been teaching forever. This is my 27th year in education. So the kids all think that I'm ancient. So there's that. And then I teach all subject area, obviously, because I'm in the elementary setting, but I do robotics and PLTW in our group. And we're in a new school for the first time in a long time. It's been a long time coming. My school when it came away from was over 100 years old. So we are we feel very fortunate to have a new school this year. So that's it.
Hi, I'm Jen Danielson. I teach in Roseville Area High School, and Roseville is a first-ring suburb of the Twin Cities. So we're the only suburb that touches both Minneapolis and St. Paul. So I am a business and computer science teacher, and I've been teaching for over 20 years now. I'm doing AP Computer Science A, Principles, Website Design, as well as the business and marketing courses at our high school.
I'm Craig Alexander. Beechwood is a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. Been here it's a very small district. It's only about 6 square miles. So I've been in Beechwood for about 25 years. I teach digital graphic design, computer science principles, do student council and a few other things.
And my name is Calvin Nellum. I am a Detroit science teacher, specifically Detroit. I came to Detroit to teach science, and I've been doing that for 10 years, where I got Michigan Regional Teacher of the Year for Detroit. So I say that to say that I think I'm doing a good service there in Detroit, specifically in science, robotics, and physics. And I'm so happy to be here with my fellow peers also in science. All right. So, what is AI? We pretty much know what AI is, but this presentation today is not to just introduce you to ChatGPT, introduce you to Gemini, but to really give you a new framework and mindset when we talk about AI and the use of it. Sadly, because of capitalism, right, the biggest, scare is AI will replace our jobs because that's, there is a sector of people that want to do that, right? And because of that, the whole AI subject, tool, the whole paradigm gets corrupted, clouded because, of the replacement of the human. And so this presentation today is to kind of just introduce you just to the misconceptions and how can AI not replace you, but assist you. So we know that AI excels at routines, the repetitive, the complex, but it lacks empathy. It lacks your taste. It doesn't have your creative vision, right? It doesn't have free will. By offloading the heavy lift of data, you can be even more impactful creatively. And so the misconception about AI that it will replace human jobs, right? It's always correct. It thinks like a human. It's dangerous. AI is cheating, right? When really it is a big old internet data source, right? And it's through machine learning, through our input, through human input, it learns and is able to make very probable predictions that are most likely correct. But we want to, yes, thank you. Keep going.
Oh,
Go back to the second slide for me, please.
I'm sorry.
You're all good. Yep. So the AI versus human debate, right? AI will replace all jobs. AI will always be accurate and unbiased. AI thinks and feels like humans. AI is dangerous by default. This is a huge misconception, right? It is not, it's, it, it's, excuse me. when used correctly, it can be used as a tool to benefit the market and the company and the human. And so today's presentation is to talk about how we can give you those tools so it can be better of assistant instead of a replacement. Next slide. All right. So it's a tool, right? AI is a tool. It's designed to assist, right? And so for me, I use AI to analyze emails that I have that have been collecting, right? I use AI to say, for example, if I want to read a book, I'll put a summary inside of it so it can give me a synopsis so I can, hopefully maybe be interested in the book. It's a really good tool to help us get started, right? It gives us an idea, but it does not give us the product. It cannot replace us because that requires a lot of work, a lot of iteration, a lot of time. All right. So AI, how AI can help us daily. Like I said, it gets through the menial tasks that, we don't want to do, like emails, right? Right. Sorting, organizing, analyzing, even calculating. I think AI is just a great tool when you want to try to do those tasks that take away from our creativity. And so today's presentation again is to give you all those tools. All right. And as obviously, going back to where I first started, the fear of AI replacing humans, that's the responsibility of the human, right? How can we create a debate where instead of us worrying about our profit margins and our ability to maximize growth, how can we use AI to motivate, be more creative, inspire, and be more inclusive? And I think that's the huge, huge thing for us to remember when we're talking about AI, that we have to be responsible with it versus irresponsible. Obviously, is going to give us those type of results that we don't want. All right. So I'll pass it to my next peer that would like to talk to you about all the resources. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Okay, so this is the elementary part of the segmentation here. So we are talking about we're talking a little bit of when we're talking about AI and talking about what to do for it and what to do for the presentation. I really wanted to dig into some places that elementary could use AI, because we are kind of limited when it comes to some of the things you guys do in high school or even in middle school. They stop us. They put the gate down for elementary kiddos because they don't want them to be in too many things all at once, which makes sense because they don't want it to be dangerous for them or them to see something that they shouldn't see, or just in anything. I think that's in school in general, but specifically with elementary kiddos. So I have 8 and 9-year-olds, and so when trying to look and see what we could use in the classroom, that would be AI generated, but also be beneficial to me because we have a lot of stuff. I'm like everybody else. We have a lot of things we have to do throughout the year, and this is just one more thing I'm asking my teachers in my school to stick into their day. And I didn't want it to be like that. I wanted it to be something where they could actually use it in conjunction with what they're already doing. So CuraPod is not new. It's been around for a while. It is an absolutely wonderful program to use, though. So if anybody has never used CuraPod before in their classroom, it is fantastic. And right now, like, we're seeing that you can use it. It's got a lot of AI qualities and things you can use within it now. So it's like, for example, if we have vocabulary words in our units of study for literature in our ELA block, it can create meaningful, fun, engaging activities through AI. All I have to do is insert the vocabulary words we have for that that unit, and it does fun review type activities for them, which is fantastic. It's not making it harder for the teacher. It's actually saving her some time for doing that, and which is exactly what you want it to say. Whenever you say AI is a good thing for teachers to use or students to use, you want to shake your head and say it's not going to make your job more work. It's going to actually help you in the long run. And so that's what that is. It also has math review lessons for which they already have made. So say I want to go in and look for Missouri Learning Standards, it's going to have those lessons already pre-made for me on grouping, like when I do multiplication and we do groups, we do groups of 3 or groups of 8, whatever they're working on, whatever multiplication task they're working on, it's going to create those for me, which is, again, fantastic. They also allow us we use Google. We're a Google platform. So it allows me to put CuraPod right onto, and as I showed on the little link over there, right onto their Google Classroom site. So it's really easy for me to stick right in there for them to, it's easy for them to access it straight from their computers, which I absolutely love. I cannot say enough good things about CuraPod. I kind of drug my feet. I've heard about it in the past, and I kind of drug my feet at first about like, oh, it's just one more thing to have to learn. But it is absolutely wonderful. I think I've told too many people because they're like, okay, Heather, we got it. It's great, but it is fantastic. So the next one, next slide. The next thing, this next slide has got a couple different things on it. One of them is Vids, and I know that Vids is not. That's not like CuraPod. Vids is newer. It's a Google. It's a new Google app that they have allowed us to use this year. It's on our waffle right now, so it was already just there for us to use, and we are looking for a way to be able to have the kids create an interactive video. Making a commercial, basically what it was commercial for a book that we had read for our mentor text. Our mentor text was Because of Winn-Dixie. And so we wanted them to make a commercial that would give the reader, the audience, a little bit of it and be able to actually we wanted to teach them to give them a little bit,
Yeah,
but not
that's
give
the
them the
same
whole
thing.
thing, kind of a thing.
Yeah, you see, so they could like.
Oh, wait. So anyway, Vids is a good example, and I love Vids for the reason. This is my biggest reason for it. When we pulled it up, when we showed the kids, it's a lot like slides. So if the kids know how to use slides, it wasn't as far stretched for us as having, and I say again, having 8 and 9-year-olds where you're having to teach them a program all over again. It was a great way for us to slide in a new program for them that they already kind of knew how to use. It's built a lot like slides, except for it has the panels below, and you insert different scenes, and they can use AI sounds and video, and they can have memes that go along with it. They can add their own voiceovers, for which they thought was the best thing that ever happened in their entire life. It was absolutely so much fun for them. So I would definitely recommend anybody. And the AI version, so going back to that, the AI part of it, there are some things I can put in. So as a teacher, I can say I want to insert a small video of a person or a dog running through the grocery store and knocks over a bunch of produce, and the manager is very upset and unhappy. I can say all those things, and it will make a short segment video to put within my vid that I want. Now, as an elementary kiddo, they have blocked that part of it for our kids, and that's something that they'll have to get as they get older. They'll get more and more experience using, which is okay, because we're the groundbreakers of all the fun things as they get older, they get better and better at it. So it's okay. And that's okay with us. We like that one. And the other thing that I have on this slide is the Canva AI. So Canva's big. All teachers love Canva. Canva's amazing. And they have an AI image generator now that will allow you to type in exactly what you want your picture to be. So we were making a short fictional story, a realistic fiction, about how you had gone to the zoo and you had a problem that happened at the zoo. So they had written about this problem in the zoo. And so the kids, like, say, for example, I had one child who said that that they were taking a picture with their friends and they dropped their cell phone into the pool with the penguins. And so they were able to go onto this AI image maker generator, and they type in what they want, that they want it to be a penguin exhibit, and they want it to be a phone that dropped in, and it gives them a picture that is a replica of what they were writing about. So they're able to use it as an illustration, for which was a really great thing. Number one, because it was a picture that kind of went right along with their story, which they didn't have to like make the picture work for themselves. It was really what worked for their story. And the second thing was that it really created a talking point of how you had to be very specific. Like, if you want something and you want it to look a certain way, you really need to make sure that you've given a lot of description on it. So it helped my kiddos write better descriptions of what they wanted something to be. So it was a win-win situation. I do have an example of a book commercial. It's the brilliance. This is amazing. So if you want to show it, you can.
Because of Winn-Dixie, a dog was running in the store one day. A little girl named Opal wanted to keep the dog. Opal's dad agreed to keep the dog. The dog is now known as Winn-Dixie. We hope you enjoy the book and the movie. Have a good day.
Have a good day. So that's it. So next slide. Okay, so these are examples of the AI generated pictures that they use in Canva, that they created in Canva. So I literally just had to share this with the kids through Classroom, and they were able to go right into where I wanted them to go. It was not something hard or crazy. That needs to be something too with elementary. You got to make it very accessible and very ready to use. Otherwise, you have a billion questions and you can't answer them all at once, and they all talk at once as well. So there's all the pictures that they had. The penguin pictures in there with the cell phone, and then one of them had it. They were in the sharks. They were visiting the aquarium, and I don't know what happened, but anyway, that's some of the pictures that they had with those, and actually they loved them because they were able to print them off and have them as like illustrations in their story. It was fantastic. Okay, so this is my next amazing thing that I found. We, like every other school in the world, I feel like right now, has a huge push in phonics. How can we get phonics into these kids' brains? Because they all need it, and we all know they needed it. We knew they needed it all along, but for some odd reason, it kind of got dropped off the face of the earth for a second with whole language and all that jazz. But anyhow, here we are. We're back at it, and we use UFly as a main source of lessons. It's a fantastic program. I would recommend it to anybody. UFly is a program that lots of districts use. It goes step by step in the progressions of phonics and teaches them all the different rules, and it goes it has decodables to go along with, and it's fantastic. But there is a program that is called Project Read that was created by a guy I think he was in Michigan. He absolutely saw the need for this as an elementary teacher and said that they used UFly in his district. And there's got to be a way. He's also a computer science guru and thought there's got to be a way to make this more accessible to more teachers and have more resources to go along with UFly. So that's kind of where he came from all that. And he went and he talked to teachers and asked them what would be helpful to them. And then he created this program, for which is fantastic. Now, it is not free. It is free for about 3 months. And then after that, then you have to pay for the things that you'd really like to have with it. So that's kind of a downfall, unfortunately, with some educational programs that are fantastic. They're expensive. They use the word expensive comes up. But the pros are this. If I teach in a small group and I teach my kids that I'm doing the adding ing to the end of the word and what are the rules for adding ing, that's the rule I'm working on. Or if I'm working on the ay makes a long a sound, I'm able to work with them in the small group, and then I'm able to also assign them that actual, because it's all through the exact same lessons that are through UFly, and so I'm able to assign them through Google Classroom what they're working on. So if they're working on AIAY, I'm able to work with them in the small group, and then I send them off to the next day. If I don't meet with that group that day, they can work on that skill on their own pace at their own computer when I'm working with a different group, which is fantastic. That's a fantastic thing. It also gives them it also allows me, and I'll show you in a second, it allows me to go in and create a whole nother passage that practices that same skill. So if I want them to practice a skill with me and practice it again with a partner, and then take it home and practice it again with a mom or dad or whoever's at home with them practicing, they can practice it 3 or 4 times. And it's an AI generated. It gives me several different versions. So if you go to the next slide, I'll show you some examples of that. So this is an example of an ing of the lesson that includes like adding ing to the words. So you can make the line spacing. I know that this is kind of a crazy thing, but like the font size, how big the font is, or how much space is in between the lines. That's a huge thing for elementary kiddos too. I think it's whenever you're learning, when you're fine-tuning your reading skills. I'll say that, not learning how to read, because you're fine-tuning your reading skills. It makes it less daunting when the words are bigger, or when the words are farther, when the sentences are farther apart. They can track it easier with their eyeballs. They can track it easier with their finger. And so it makes it so much easier. So I do love this program for that reason alone, just that all by itself. The next slide, though, shows what you could do. So this is an example. This is just a screenshot of what it looks like on their computer. So this is the lesson 64, which is adding ed to a word. So the word is rocked. It shows the word on the screen, and then they have to use their microphone and say the word rocked. They say it correctly or not correctly. If they don't say it correctly, it does go through each and every part of the word and shows them with a little bouncing ball at how you say the word. So they're practicing it again. And I like that because I don't have to stand over them and practice with them again. I've already practiced how to use that skill, but they're just continuing to practice, which is fantastic. Love that. And they do think that the microphone's a big deal. Kind of fun. Okay. And last but not least, sorry, I've talked a long time. Sorry, is snorkel. And I have happened onto this, and I know that people are like, oh yeah, I know what this is, but I will use this more and more next year. I see this being something that I really want to use. So basically, I'm just going to read from this. It says, snorkel is a digital whiteboard that allows students to record explanations, draw, or write in their thoughts while reviewing instant feedback from the AI program. So I love this for many reasons. One of them is, like this example I have at the very top, is about finding perimeter and area. Perimeter and area are a huge third grade objective. So they show them the program, they show them the actual problem, I cannot get that word out. And then they have to explain their thinking, and they can write their thinking if they want to. And that's where I'm going to talk about that in a second, but they can explain their thinking, and then AI will come in and tell them whether they did right or wrong. I also like the fact that they have to explain their learning, explain their thinking, because that is a huge thing we've all talked about that in the elementary world, is that it's so hard for us. Like they want to find the answer. They kind of know how they got the answer, but if you have them have to write down it in sentence form and explain it in sentences how they got the answer, that is so hard. It's so hard for them to, when you say, okay, now how'd you get that answer? We do a lot of that now. I think a lot of the new math programs out there kind of see that that's a gap within elementary kiddos, is to be able to talk about how they found the answer and how could they explain it to someone else. They don't have that. And see, in our MAP test, our Missouri assessment program, like what we take, our end of the year assessments that we all love so much. I know you guys are all going to say you love them as much as I do. So lovely. Anyhow, they have a part of ours, like the last day, we're getting ready to take it in 3 days from now. The last day is, hey, this is the problem. What did they do wrong? And explain in sentences what they did wrong and how you would make that, how you would change the answer, which is like daunting to little kids. So that's that. So I love this for that reason. I do want to really get into that donor's shoes thing. I've never done that before, and I really like to get into that and get some iPads for our classrooms, because I see that program would be really good with having iPads, just because of the drawing aspect of it all, of being able to, or some type of a, because we have Chromebooks. We're 1-to-1 with Chromebooks, but they don't have that property to be able to write on something. I think that we need something where they can actually write on the screen, and I think that would be very beneficial. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes down with me. So, but I do love this program, and I think that it's going to be fantastic. If I could just get everybody else on board, it's awesome. Yeah. I don't know. So that thing. That's it. That's it for me. Sorry. That's it for the elementary world. Okay.
Nice
So,
job.
real quick, I'm sorry. Heather, real briefly, how have these tools made you a better teacher creatively?
Oh, I love that so much. Okay, it's awesome. I think that it has made me a better teacher because I'm having to get outside the box and see like what is going to motivate children on a daily basis. Like what, because you do want to motivate them. Like that's, I know that's huge for us. I know the engagement. I know that everybody has to do those amazing. You know, you have those goals in your career where you want to make engagement is a huge part of one of our goals. It's, I think everybody has that. If we have 7 goals we have to do the year, engagement is like number one on that list. But if you think about it in any aspect, but like especially with little ones, engagement is make or break. If you don't have them with you, then they are not going to learn it. So I think that's what's really been the biggest excitement point of having some of these programs go down, because they're excited about doing these new things. They're excited about, you know, having those options to be able to do. They love CarePod. But they love any of those kind of things. And it's not even gaming anymore. It's very beneficial, which makes it better for me. It makes my heart feel better that I'm doing something that's beneficial and not something just to take up space.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Thanks for your service, Heather. All right, let's kick it to Dr. John from middle school and AI.
Alrighty, so the middle school realm. This is our next level. This is our sixth, sometimes sixth, but mostly seventh and eighth grade students. So what I looked at first was the what and why, because one of our biggest questions our administrators always asking is, what's the why behind it? We know what we're doing, but why are we doing it? And so again, what is AI? It's like a superpowered digital brain that can recognize patterns, solve problems, and even create art and music. So we kind of all know that. This is where a lot of our middle schoolers get confused, where we use AI to spark ideas, not to finish them. So think of it as a teammate to help you get past the I don't know where to start, especially in like science and math and reading, even in our elective classes, in my computer science classes, in my music classes. Whenever we do kind of writing assignments on a more difficult topic, they're like, well, what can I use to get an idea? Well, it's AI is the answer. But again, they're 12 and they just want to be on the computer as much as possible. We are encouraged to have them on the computer as much as possible, but we also have to kind of set those boundaries. And of course, you know, AI over the last several years has just become in that forefront of society. The skill set of 2026. This is what our kids and our grandkids, in some cases, in my case, are learning about, even in early elementary, like Heather said. And so we're kind of preparing that next generation for the future, and learning how to talk to AI and questioning about what it says. So fact checking, that's something that a skill that we hopefully teach in the elementary schools, is just as important now as reading and writing. And so because it's involving that technological piece. Okay, next slide. So how does it help us as teachers? So there's differentiation, which we always talk about, especially when we have ELLs, we have SPED kids, we have slow learners, we have those fast achievers even. So in our classrooms, we don't have that one size fits all student. And so using tools like Diffit or EduAid AI to take a complex reading passage and instantly rewrite it at 3 different reading levels. So that's a good differentiation tool. Like Heather said, CurePod, of course. AI extensions, which I'm going to mention one here in a minute when I talk about the tool that I kind of researched a little more about, helps teachers leave that personalized feedback. On like 30 essays. They used to take hours upon hours upon hours to read them all. Now you can actually download an AI, it'll give you feedback, and it's trusted for the most part. But more importantly, it actually highlights the areas of student growth. So we're a numbers-driven society, we're a numbers-driven educational system. We're looking at growth from start to finish. And this can actually be one way to help us do that. And then, of course, the end of busy work, those dreaded worksheets. It can automatic rubric creation, parent newsletters, daily bell ringer questions. We do a bell ringer every day in our class. where it focuses on the technology word. And I actually use AI to kind of help generate images that go along with it, as well as DOK leveled questions for doing that. The end has come of busy work, I know. So there's a lot of use in our educational tool bags. But again, it focuses on the humans rather than the technology. So it's becoming more centered on like the social emotional side of things. We have an advisory period every week where we bring AI driven material into it and asking the students to respond through AI prompts. Next slide. So what I did is I looked at a couple of these tools. Conmingo is a personal tutor that explains math and science using the Socratic method, which we do a lot in the middle school. Rather than just giving the answer, we want them to talk about it. Our district is huge on discourse this year, opportunities to respond and things like that. So we want to give them the opportunities to share their knowledges, share their insights and things like that, but to get them talking to each other. A few years ago, trying to get them to talk to each other was like pulling teeth. Now they actually want to do it because there's a neat way to get those ideas generated. Notebook LM, it basically turns your own notes and handouts into a custom study guide or a podcast style overview. So that's kind of a nice study partner for some of our like core classes in middle school, especially when we're getting ready for the core tests. Canva, of course, as everybody knows, they recently, over the last several years, created their Magic Studio, which incorporates that AI component into that. I actually use that quite a bit to get my students to take care of that. Did I have to teach AI what a boundary is? Yes, I did have to explain it a little bit. Just because, of course, AI doesn't know everything. And then the last one is Brisk. This is something that I didn't know a lot about and I just fell in love with because it's kind of like Magic School AI, but it's free for educators, which is really nice, especially if we have a budget. And so there's like Quillbot, which is another one that helps rephrase awkward sentences and provides feedback on grammar without actually writing the essay for you. I tell my students every day, I'm like, don't use AI to generate your essays. I can tell. How can you tell that, Dr. M? Trust me, I can tell. Next slide, please. All right, so Brisk. This is a really fun one, and I put the website right there, briskteaching.com. So it's an AI-powered Chrome extension that is designed to assist teachers with classroom tasks. So this is kind of like Magic School AI, but I found that it's actually a lot more. It's for lesson planning, grading, and we'll go over to a little more in the extension here in a minute. But there's so much that you can do relatively easy. You can take end-of-year study guides. You can create things like lesson plans, presentations, notes home, all kinds of instructional materials like an ACT practice test generator. There's a create anything feature for custom teacher materials, text generation, DOK questions, a guided notes generator, an inquiry worksheet, math spiral review generator, math word problems. So you can enter the subject and content and it'll create a math worksheet for you. A podcast generator. So like for Heather doing her vids thing, if they want to turn that into a podcast, this can actually do it. So that the website is briskteaching.com. And so it's kind of a fun little thing. So if you want to go to the next slide, we'll kind of go into a little more about this. So again, it's Google compatible, as most things are. Google Docs slides, LMS systems like Canvas, so they can all be incorporated into this, and they all kind of like coincide in this little realm here. They can infuse features within the environments to generate summaries, rewrite passages, provide scaffolded feedback, of course, without switching apps, which really makes it a seamless companion for a lot of our digital classrooms nowadays. Okay, next slide. So what can you use it for? So these are just some of the things. Like I said, a presentation maker, so you can actually create presentations again just by implementing, articles, videos, other sites, specific number of slides, a theme choice. You can make it in real time, ready for you to customize. So of course, Google, anybody can access it. So this is stuff that you can create and you can share, and 3 or 4 people can work on this thing. A lesson plan generator. Again, we have standards connected to it. We have subject matters connected to it. It gives you complete lesson plans. Especially I'd like to use this for my sub plans when I create sub plans. So the kids aren't just going, well, what are we going to do? Another worksheet? I can actually generate ideas to give them ideas on what to do when I'm not in the classroom. Quiz generators. Again, that create anything tool, which is really kind of the catch-all one with that. And so this is like you can create a list of like 20 argumentative writing prompts for 8th graders based on pop culture trends. I mean, whatever you want to create, you can literally create in this thing. And then, of course, our letter of recommendation generator. So we always get asked, can you write a recommendation for either a colleague or a student? So this can actually help you input information about them and create a solid letter of recommendation that can be used across multiple employment opportunities, college applications, things like that. Okay, next slide. So the extension, this is very easy to add. So when you go to that website, it's like I said, it's free. Just create your login. It'll actually ask you to just create the extension, like most of us know how to do. And again, this is an embedded into Chrome or Microsoft Edge. So it does work with Microsoft as well. That works with Google Docs, slides, PDFs, YouTube. There's a lot more going into it. And so the extension is something that is very collaborative. It's very useful. You can use it for things like 504 creations for administrators. You can use it for, again, PowerPoints. You can use it for creating videos, end of year study guides, interactive reflection charts. I mean, there's just so much, like a year in review exit tickets. And so there's so much that you can use this for. And it's free. A student accomplishment celebration guide. And it's all based on standards. It's based on curriculum. It's based on grade level. It actually does have translatable capabilities. So you can translate it into Spanish, French, let's see what other, just about like Arabic. So there's translation capabilities here too. So it's just a lot of fun. And a lot of people like this because of that translatable material, because it says, so how do you want to rewrite this like an argumentative essay? Do you want to translate it into like Spanish? Do you want to make it longer? Do you want to less detail? Do you want to make it shorter? Do you want to add more detail? There's other things you can do to boost it. So there's a lot of activities that you can do to simply just really enhance your classroom experiences. Okay, next slide, please. All righty, that's all for me.
All right. And so real quick, John, so if you could go back in the past and talk to your non-AI teacher, what advice would you give him now that you've experienced AI?
I think the biggest thing would be to not be afraid of it. I've noticed that our seasoned teachers who have been there for 25, 30 years, they come from that old extension, like here's a mimeograph machine and, the old school. I remember those growing up and even in high school and going, how the heck do you create that thing? My heaven. But just don't be afraid of it. And I think it just takes time to explore it. And you got to also have someone in that kind of is willing to sit down and be patient explaining it as well. So you give them the benefits, of it. You want to make sure that um, you can create these opportunities for learning, but also it's a way to make your job easier because you don't have to create so much. You don't spend hours upon hours upon hours creating worksheets and lesson plans where AI can literally do it for you in minutes. And so that's something that I always tell those teachers because I'm kind of like the tech guy in our lab, our school when our tech guys aren't there. And so they're always asking me questions like, what tools do you use? Here's one that I use. It's free. You can experience it. Just play around with it. Just have fun with it. Don't try anything. Just put a question in there.
Yeah, I think that's the advice I told my mom. She's 85. She's like, "What is IA?" I said, "AI, mom." And I said, "Mom, just talk to it. Just, talk to it, ask it some questions, and you'll be surprised." So, thank you so much for that. I'm sorry, I have so many people coming in my picture. All righty. So next, let's you had a question, Heather, do CurePod and Project Read allow you to print out articles?
Yeah, I was getting ready to type that in, but yes, the Project Read absolutely lets you print off like the passages I was talking about, the passages that are extra practice. They allow you to print all those off and extra stories to go along. Stories and passages, basically both, whichever one you want to send home with the kids. And then CarePod also creates the same as it's kind of similar to Brisk. It creates activities that they can do along with whatever you're doing, in your classroom too, which is fantastic. I love this Brisk. I'm going to get on that one big time. I saw it earlier and I'm like, ooh,
Yes, absolutely. All righty.
I
Next
like the
is
Spanish. I like that it does Spanish. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, Spanish, Arabic. Again, one thing I've noticed real quickly is the AI trend. A lot of these programs that we're using really are considering multilingual options. They haven't done it for several years, and all of a sudden, that's 2 or 3 years. All of a sudden, these new options are in there, and it's great because our school is 90% Hispanic, and probably 15 to 20% of like a lot of other nationalities, and so that's great for them because we can actually translate it into their language, and they can submit stuff, and we can actually put it back into the AI tool, and it'll translate it back.
I love that. I love that so much. Oh.
all righty, Jennifer.
Actually, it's me.
Craig. Sorry.
No problem. So I'm going to talk about how we got to Gemini. Gemini is like, well, let me go back. About 2 years ago, we hired a new technology director, and he was all about Magic School. And Magic School is a great tool. He purchased a full district subscription to it, but Magic School actually sits on top of OpenAI. So each one of their little tools in there is like a gym or a little smart AI bot that will do a specific task. And in Ohio, there's been a huge push for student privacy. So we've done everything's got to be like single sign-on, and we moved to Google. So since I know a lot of schools use Google, that's where I kind of got to Gemini. Gemini is just an AI. If you're a Verizon member, there's a plan out there where they give you a little discount and you get the professional level for like $10 a month. But it's just like any of the other artificial intelligence LLMs. It's just a big LLM or learning language model. The key thing for teachers, I think, is the connection to Notebook LM. Notebook LM is a way for teachers to create tools that are vetted. So you could take all your lesson plans, PDFs, text from textbook companies, anything, YouTube videos, and you can load it in to Notebook LM and becomes its own little smart agent. So one of the things that I found it really valuable to do is you can almost build a vetted smart AI that you don't have to worry about the hallucination piece. Okay, so there's a series of different tools after you load in. You open up a notebook, you load it up with different things, whether it's YouTube videos or PDFs or different things. It actually goes through and reads all the information, coalesces it, and then we'll build out different tools. So what the main chunk of my presentation is going to be going through those different tools. And they map out kind of just like this, where Google Gemini, the LLM, can use it for content creation as a thought partner, as John said. Um, you can get information. Notebook LM can help understand content. You can upload specific things. It'll build study guides. It'll help um, kids review vocabulary and does flashcards. It's just, I'm almost going to be as bad as Heather was with CurePad. I'm going to sound like I work for Notebook after I'm done with the presentation. So the series of tools, I think I was going to bury this tool and come back to it, but I think this is the best thing. I teach computer science principles, and the kids always have trouble thinking computationally or thinking linearly. So one of the first things I did was I took parts of the course exam and description guide. I uploaded this, and I created a notebook for them to help them throughout the class. And what it does is it actually goes in and it creates an interactive podcast. And the feature they just added was the interactive piece, where you could go into it and you can actually raise your hand, and the two AI hosts will stop and go, "Hey, we have a question." And it's just you talking to the computer. They listen to your question and then they give you direct feedback. And that's been invaluable, not only for my special ed population, but for kids that are out sick, or if somebody misses something, you can go in and engineer it to give brief descriptions, to critique different comments as people give them back, or actually to debate ideas. So the kids have really enjoyed interacting with the audio feature. And I just think it's remarkable because you could literally load anything from we did a cell phone policy here in Ohio where the cell phone policy kicked in mid-year and kids were asking me 1,000 questions about it. I threw it in there. Kids were able to interact and ask their questions, and it was invaluable. The next tool that's inside of Notebook LM is a video overview. So it can take hard to understand concepts. For my students, they had to develop one part of the computer science principles class is you have to build a program. And in that program, you have to develop student developed procedures. I can't give them direct feedback, but the students were able to work through and get video overviews of different aspects of the create task. And it was just invaluable in that. And has a lot of people will tell you about AI hallucinating. Unfortunately, the downfall of wide or big language learning models is that they hallucinate. It's more of a word prediction model than it is actually going out and finding information. So sometimes if you had bad information, the AI can hallucinate. One of the things I taught my students to do is to always ask the question, is this the best version? Is this true? Can you provide sources for this? So using Notebook, all the sources are vetted by me. So anything I upload, I know it's a good source. So I know it's going to give the kids less hallucinations and more direct information. And a great way to present information. Okay. You can build reports in it. Had one student actually go into this and build a study guide. He was asking Notebook LM, "Hey, can you build me a list of 10 questions that'll help me review vocabulary?" And that was an interesting feature because I never thought to do that with the report feature, but that's one skill that is easily used. It's a quiz builder. It can help kids review. Right now, they're reviewing for vocabulary. Our test for computer science principles is on the 14th. So kids are going in and asking questions, and they're refining their skills. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Khan Academy. Khan Academy has a similar feature to this, but kids can go in and then they can work on the skills they're not good at. So I had a kid today go in and ask, "Hey, I know I got these wrong in the quiz. Can you build a study guide for me to focus on these concepts?" So it can be very targeted and very interactive. You can use the quiz feature to, like I said, for mastery skills or for remediation for those kids that don't get certain concepts, and everything's based in good sources. It does give immediate feedback, and it is a great interactive tool because at the high school level, I'm lucky enough to have a group of close friends that play two sports together. So they're always trying to give each other, how do I put this nicely? Energetic feedback. So breaking them up and spacing them out allows the feedback to come from a non-competitive source. So it's interesting to see them compete and they'll go, well, I got this one right. You got it wrong. Why'd you get it wrong? Because I'm smarter than you. And so just that create kind of breaking up that buddy feature and using the artificial intelligence to kind of get the kids to focus their energy in a positive intellectual way. You can build data tables and different things. So this I used as they were coming up with different tasks for their create task or different ideas for programs. I had them go into the notebook I created for them, and they were able to build out, some kids wanted to build a game. Other kids wanted to build a movie picker. One kid was way into music, and he was building he wanted people to have different choices as they went into as they decided, I like this song, like this song. Can you generate a list of other songs I would like? So a lot of kids used it um, in this data table feature to lay things out. Because one of the things that College Board actually came out with is that they can use AI as a thought partner to kind of reference what John had said, and also going back to Heather. Kids sometimes need ideas. And they're just in this current generation of at least the kids in Ohio, sometimes they're having problems coming up with ideas. So AI can be a great thought partner. And using Notebook, you can create an area where they're safe, their data is protected, and they can interact with it in a safe and friendly manner. You can build slide decks, so you can go in, ask questions. You can prompt revisions. They just added the ability to make things editable, but it's a great tool to, if you have a concept that I do have some special ed kids in some of my classes and they have problems reading. So sometimes a text leveler isn't good enough for them because they're just, I always called it reading apprehensive, or they don't want to read at all. So it's a great way to build visuals. And sometimes a slide deck can take a hard concept or a multiple page PDF and convert it over to an image or a series of images. And it's really been helpful in that remediation piece and getting kids up to speed because kids have different learning styles. Okay. Talked a little bit about quizzes already, but those can be geared towards, either a mastery scenario or having kids, review concepts they don't get. Mind mapping. So as they mapped out ideas for their different programs, one of the features in Notebook is you can go in and actually connect things out and draw ideas. So one of the students actually used it to map out what he was going to program. So what he wanted his first screen to look like, his next screen, and he was able to connect all the ideas. So it helped him map out, or he used it as a way to map out his ideas. And then flashcards, of course, for vocabulary concept review. Infographics. The infographics are phenomenal, as I'll cover in a moment when I get there. It can take any concept and break it down and put it into detailed, concrete ideas where students are able to take their ideas and it visualizes them. So it can help them take hard concepts, put them in a visual format. It can lay out information. As I mentioned, I use it mostly with my computer science principles class. So the hierarchy of information, it can visualize concepts all the way through. And it can also show them workflows. The issue some of my students were having there's kind of three aspects of the computer science principles piece they have to do. So I used artificial intelligence to help them understand, input into a program can be typing, it could be talking, it could be clicking a mouse, getting them to understand what program functionality is and that aspect of it. And then the output, what's coming out of your program and what is going, what the functionality kicks out of the input you put in. And I think that this graphic kind of sums up the power of Notebook LM and just all the different things you can do. And as I mentioned, that teacher I was talking to over in Pennsylvania that was a good friend of mine. He was running into problems getting good resources or having good resources to use with his students. And I told him about this. I'm like, you can take all the PDFs and information, websites, anything, and load it in, and it'll create environment for your students where they could do research papers, where they can do different posters and interact with things. They can even study. So I think this graphic kind of summed it up kind of better than I could have. And Jennifer, you would be up.
Okay, and then I am looking at this more of the perspective of if I had to give a 15-minute PD session on AI to my colleagues, what would I want them to know? And I don't know about your schools and your districts, but in my school, I teach in a high school 912, and everyone's very AI resistant. It's kind of it's a scary world. The people who are using it, we don't really talk to each other. So everyone's trying all these things on their own. There are a few vocal people who are very anti AI because it's got to be cheating, right? So I'm trying to think of all like the helpful tools that I could share with teachers that would show that this is to make your life easier. It's not going to replace you. It's not students cheating, but these are a few things that I've put together from my own experience and from talking with others. And just kind of what are the things that I would want to show teachers really quickly. So on this first slide, I have just the biggest thing that I had to learn as a teacher using AI was writing a good prompt. My first prompts were so vague and so broad, and the information I got back was not helpful at all. So a few things, like being specific. If you know the grade level, the standard, the benchmark, the number, whatever you can give, you will get that information back and be more specific. Same thing with adding your content focus. If you're looking at a standard, but you want to work on just a portion of it, just that benchmark, include that in your prompt. One of my favorite things is looking at your classroom needs. So including scaffolds for struggling learners. I have used the translation apps to translate things to Spanish or to take a slide and put it in different language for students who are multi-level language learners. Desired format. So when we're all tired of the worksheets, what else can we do? I will ask for interactive activities. I will say, give me a list of 5 different interactive activities that students can work in small groups. The tone and voice can be adjusted. So don't be afraid to say, make this sound more friendly. Sometimes when I'm writing an angry email, I will write it out and say, please make this sound more professional, because we don't need to see my rage in my emails. And then asking for extras, multiple versions. When you're writing a quiz, don't ask for 1, ask for 4. You can have 4 different versions, or if you want to pick and choose your favorite questions from each one, but you'll have plenty of options. And then on the next slide, you'll just see some example of a weak versus a strong, and my weak could have been create a lesson on the Civil War. But you can see exactly how detailed you can be. I've had some prompts that are where I've been writing and writing forever, but the information that you get back is really much better quality than obviously if you have a very, very weak and vague prompt. On the next one, this is something that we've been working on in our district for, it seems like forever, and this is using standards-based grading and having rubrics aligned for all of our standards. And for when we started, we were all writing this out, levels 1 through 4, and then we're like, wait a second, we could probably use AI for this. So this is an example of a prompt. Proficiency scales using 3 levels, label them using I can statements. And then on the next slide, you'll see the results. What an amazing product that this can give you. And of course, this is something to work from. This is not going to be our final product, but you can see how this just takes a lot of that. Where do I begin? Just like their students have, right? They need the idea. And so do we sometimes. So this has been a really, really helpful way to just get things started, to have things, the information's out there. So on the next one, we talked about Magic School also, but this is one of my go-tos. I think I've seen lots of questions in the chat, just like, how do you know what to use? Which ones do you go to? I think you have to pick your 1 or 2 and just become really good at it. And I don't know if the rest of you agree with that, but I think if you can pick that 1 or 2 and really dive in and really use all of the tools efficiently, that's better than every day trying a new tool. Because I have spent time trying to use something, and I think I spend more time searching and playing around with it than if I had actually done something, on my own. So one of my go-tos is Magic School. And if you've never used it, take a look. But I think most people have seen this before. It's just got so many. One of my favorite things here is, you can go ahead, Craig. Here is one of my favorites is when you're looking for common misconceptions. So like as a teacher, I kind of know when I'm teaching something where they're going to go wrong or what kind of questions they'll have. But sometimes you want to be prepared for that scenario. So if you click one more time. Here, you can see there's a show and exemplar, and I like this because it will really tell you, give you an example of what it will look like before you even use it. So if you're just searching through and you want to know if a tool is a good one to use or not, you don't have to take the time filling in all the information. You can see what that will look like, and if that's the appropriate tool that you want to use, because there are, I think there's over 100 different options on the site. So this is just a nice time saver, because it's hard to know which one to pick. On the next slide, just again for the teachers, like why would I use this? Get 45-minute lesson plan, right? You can have it'll lay out everything that you need to do for that day. Have a student summarize this for an 8th grade reading level. I use Brisk all the time to change things for different reading levels. Communication, parent letters, emails, letters of recommendation. Like I've said, someone else mentioned that's been such a time saver, is being able to input all of the information and have a nice bones of a letter laid out for you. And then something else I use all the time is for real world examples. I teach personal finance class, and sometimes there's just not a lot of information geared for high school students where that they find very interesting. So it's fun to get real world examples and scenarios, because I can't think of all of these things by myself. And then on the next one, again, and then for assessment and differentiation. So like I said before, a quiz bank, multiple types of questions, multiple levels of questions, having a tiered worksheet for your students who are at different levels. Form A and for B, this has been one of my favorite discoveries, is being able to have multiple quizzes created for all those students who want to do a retake or are absent or whatever it is that they need to do. And then the interactive activities for our students. Just think different. It shouldn't be a worksheet because that's so boring. But if you ask for interactive activities, that will really help. And then next, and then finally, as a teacher, a few things to think about, just the ethical concerns. I know we all know about these things, but like, for example, the student privacy and data protection. I know at my school, it was encouraged to use Gemini just because that is something that complies both with FERPA and COPPA. And so knowing which sites are compliant with the laws. We've been working with our tech, and I feel like things change all the time, but we're trying to compile a list of kind of like the safe AI sites that we can use with our students. So knowing privacy and data concerns. Academic integrity. I use this a lot to look for cheating, look for passages that are a little bit suspicious, and setting up those expectations with my students about what's acceptable for idea generation and what shouldn't just be copied pasted right from AI. Bias and equity is a concern in my building. We really focus on equity, and so making sure that we are getting a good, reliable cultural, societal norms that are representative of our students. Not everyone has the same tools, not everyone has the same access, and we really want to be cognizant of the fact that we don't have the same access. And then finally, the number 4 there, accuracy and professional responsibility. Again, it reminds me so much of when Wikipedia was a brand new thing, right? We had to tell our students Wikipedia is not a source. It's the same idea, right? We have to take the professional responsibility to fact check and make sure that these are accurate, and something that we would be proud to put out there. And then finally, this kind of wraps up our presentation. So I think we're just going to take some time to field any questions that people might have at this time for any one of us.
Great
To
job,
tie into
everybody. Go ahead,
to
Craig.
tie into what to tie into what Jennifer said, just if you pick one, just go for it. Okay, take your time, explore. I mean, because we use Magic School also, and just getting teachers to go, it's okay. Just take your time and jump in. And as soon as you jump in, you'll start to swim, but you just have to take your time and just concentrate on one, whether it's CurePod or anything.
Yep. And I like to think about like, you all are already amazing teachers. You all have a lot of skin in the game. AI is just going to help you get that one student you can't reach, and I just really think, just really think about it like that. How can I get all of my scholars and how can AI help me reach, even though scholars are hard to reach, That's the beauty of it. It kind of gives you superpowers. You can become a super teacher.
Looks like Brooke has a question.
Brooke?
Brooks, did you have a question? Maybe.
Can you all hear me now?
Yep.
Sorry.
We can hear you
Okay,
now.
sorry, my earbuds were not working. First of all,
Jeez,
thank you
technology, love
everybody
it.
for this is a very insightful presentation, and I'm gonna explore, all the AI tools and also at the last, like what to look for, and what are the purpose of using AI was very helpful. So, anyways, thank you all. This is very insightful. But I have one question specifically to Craig. So the notebook LLM looks quite fascinating, and I would like to explore that. But so a few questions that I have. One is like, does it integrate with Canvas? And the second one is, once you created, let's say, a quiz or any type of activity using the notebook LLM, how do you integrate it in whatever your district's LLM is using?
That's a that's a great question because it actually led to I had to shift my presentation. I was going to show you a lot of different things from my school notebook to my personal notebook. The personal notebook, the sharing features are pretty easy, but because of FERPA and all that stuff in Ohio, when you're inside of your Google Classroom, all those different things, it is shareable. It is shareable in that inside that universe. But I've also done a couple things where I've downloaded the PDF or put it over into a Google Doc and created a PDF and then brought that in. So sometimes you have to figure out workarounds. Because as I said, as I was telling the group earlier before we kind of went on live with everybody, my new technology director is putting in a lot of filters and he's very concerned with privacy. So how do I put this professionally? Not that he's limiting me, but he's making sure our kids are extra safe. So that extra safety has caused me to have some workarounds. So sometimes you end up coming up with, you have something in Notebook LM or create something where you have to download the PDF and then bring the PDF over. So it's not necessarily as interactive, but if you're in the Google universe, and we've talked because he's not a fan of Snorkel because evidently Snorkel didn't sign their FERPA for Ohio, but he let me have access to Snorkel and I can have my students log in as a guest so they can still put their name in and it's still trackable on my end, but he didn't want their Google information exchanged with Snorkel. So that would be one example.
Awesome, thanks. And before I forget, so thanks for sharing that. One other thing I would say is like sometimes I find like actual teachers using a tool kind of showing like, okay, this is what I use it for. This is what it looks like on my end. Instead of like they built it like, okay, this is how you can do it type of thing. So if you have the time for it, I don't mind connecting to kind of see how you do it on your end. Or if you make like a video kind of showing like how you utilize it, I'm sure it's going to get a good audience.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we can connect. That's fine.
Awesome. Thanks.
Hey guys, what a great presentation. I feel like I learned so much, and I'm so glad that I put Mike on as your room facilitator because Mike is Coco's resident AI person. So I know it's just like blowing his mind and because we've been chatting on the side about it. Anyways, I had a question about how you guys are figuring out how to balance what Jen talked about at the end, which is like building that foundational, and Calvin talked about this at the top, which I really love how you bookended these things about building AI literacy, like that the foundational understanding of what is AI, what are some like things that we need to watch out for, how do we use it ethically, how do we use it responsibly? Um, how do you balance those things with the tool time and actually being able to capitalize on all of the like effectiveness and magic that can happen by using an AI tool, whether that's with staff or with your students, especially for the secondary teachers in the room?
With my staff, it's been interesting because some of them want to know, and others, a lot like Jennifer's staff, are very reluctant. And well, that's cheating. How can you do that? That's cheating. Or, AI is going to replace you as a teacher. I'm like, one, take a step back. It's not hasn't reached that level yet. And two, so with the staff, it's more trial and error and getting them to take the time to just explore a little bit. With students, the students really are hypersensitive about cheating and they don't want to be accused of cheating. So they're very reluctant to, while they'll go in and ask, how much of the cab's going to win by, they are reluctant to have it write a paper. So, which is good, I think. But so with the students, I've been trying to show them little aspects of different things, or if they have to read something, because one of our English teachers is kind of in a speedboat going towards AI. So she'll be okay with, hey, upload this PDF and see what questions it comes up with. And then bring those questions to class and have me try to challenge me to see what I know about the topic. So she's taken that route. But she's brilliant, so it's not all that hard.
I think for me, we have to understand that it's a revolutionary tool. And so with anything revolutionary, you're going to have resistance. You're going to have people that are reluctant. You're also going to have people that's going to jump forward. So I think it's a lot of us still building the airplane while flying it. And whatever tools we think that are benefiting us, we'll take. The ones that we don't want to benefit us, we'll put away. But I think it's just still in a revolutionary stage. And so we're kind of all still learning, you know?
I think one of the biggest things that we can do is kind of what we did last year, where we went out and said, okay, what is kind of what's missing from our program when we went and talked to parents, administrators, students, what do they need? And then that way we can kind of narrow it down and then we can make recommendations based off of that. Because again, I think Jennifer talked about this is just take one tool at a time. No, I did not say that just to make you happy. But I mean, it's kind of that's what we did last year is this exact thing is we went and we asked questions and we asked, hey, what do you do in your curriculum? What do you, how can we kind of incorporate AI into this? And then we can go, okay, well, we got that feedback. Now we can make recommendations, but of course we don't want to give them everything. We want to try to say, okay, we're the subject matter experts here. We're the SMEs, as I was always called when in my last employment, is that we kind of know the resources. We know what's out there. We know how to tailor it to what they need. And we just need to find out what they need.
I would just add that even though I consider myself a high user of AI, I rarely, if ever, have my students use AI just because I'm not at that point yet. So I think there are pieces of I use it all the time. My students don't. And even other staff that I talk with, if we can share one or two things that are really helpful, I always think like when I go to a conference, if I even get like one or two really good things, it was worth it to me. And so it's not you're not going to get everything. You're going to pick out one or two. And I think it's like we've all been saying, you just got to start somewhere. And eventually I'll start adding in some student projects and some student facing things, but I'm not even at that point yet. And I consider myself a very high user of AI.
That's so helpful. Jen, are you talking to your students about AI though? Like, are you doing some of the stuff that Calvin was doing at the top and you were doing at the end to like build their understanding of how AI is showing up in the world?
Yeah, we are because I know they're using it,
Hmm.
not that it's a part of an assignment, but they're using it either for research or to start. Sometimes I see a little more AI than I would like to in assignments. So I know it's out there, and so that's a huge part is making sure that we know it's still, it's like plagiarism. That's something they know, and that's a term that they can, really understand. So we talk about that, and also as I have my talking with my seniors, I'm like, this is going to be a bigger part of your education moving forward. And so you do need to know these tools and how they work. So we're starting to talk about it, even though they don't use it all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations, guys. This was fantastic.
Can I add just a couple things? This was to echo, this was absolutely wonderful workflow all the way through. It was amazing. So my question is, will you have this or at least your slide deck available so I could share it with staff? And the other thing is that I'm going to put in a plug for Colleague AI because I am having my students use it. So that's another one to add to your plate. But I've been talking with my kids about AI literacy, and today in one of their presentations, they put at the end, they used AI for checking grammar. Yay!
Yeah, and that's responsible. That's good. That's what we want them to do, yeah, that's awesome. Great job.
Cheryl, I actually met with someone from OU that's her whole push with college students to get them to make AI statements as they start to write papers and do different things to go, it's okay to use AI, but make sure you're transparent about it.
I was literally just about to say that, y'all. My son is a sophomore in college, and the thing that we were working with him in high school was when he was sending letters to his teachers or professors or his coaches, like he just wouldn't. Hey, what's up? Lowercase h, no first, no last name. And so we started encouraging him last year to take the message that he wants to send and run it through AI and to see how to formulate a letter. And I mean, it has made such a difference in how he communicates with the adults around him, professors, coaches, and it's been a really, really great learning curve for him. Even when we were telling him, like, here's how you should write a letter, like it's a letter, right? But that's really helpful.
And then
Great job, y'all. This is
and,
really, really good.
and Mike, he's gonna eventually start writing his own letters because he had that, you know what I'm saying, that what's the idea starter or that hook. I know for me,
Exactly.
the AI tool that I used when I was in grad school was Grammarly. Grammarly was like it was a game changer for me because it gave me confidence because even though I wasn't a great writer, if I put in Grammarly, it gave me notes and I was able to just keep writing, and eventually, I got to grad school. You can't get to grad school without writing. And
Yep.
so that's great.
Yep. Yep. Great job, y'all. Great job.